back and following along as I try to attempt the rebuild of this 1986 Trans Am. Today I'm tackling a problem that's been bothering me for a while, and that is the thumping that's going on in this transmission. I got to figure out what is going on there. Also, we have no speedometer, so I don't know how fast it's going, but it's also not racking up miles either. Where do we want to get that fixed? Got to get this thing to pass inspection. So here we go. Let's dig in. Thanks, everybody. Here's what I got going on. Yes, there's a massive thump, but there's also a leak that's coming out of the transmission. I think it's coming from partially here. This is the speedometer hookup, which I don't have yet. So I'm going to try to tighten that up. I also have a leak coming from where I did the pan gasket. It looks like it's coming in. See if I can show you here. About right here. This whole area is a little wet with some fluid. So I'm going to clean that up. We're going to tighten up a couple of these bolts here, see if that does it. I also have a leak coming over here, which I think is just simply the oil drain plug. So tighten that up a little bit. That should do it. All right, let's spray this down. That's better already. Oh, stuff smells great. Whew. There's a lot of junk falling. Well, we got a little problem. The little speedometer piece. Let's take a look at this. I gave it a little yank. I knew it would come out. Slight problem. There's a little gear that goes in here that is now fell off inside that little hole. I can put my finger in here and I can grab it. Uh-oh. It's moving around. I can feel it, but I can't grab it. So I gotta brainstorm an idea here. Duct tape on the finger. Let's try it. Duct tape, it did not work at all. So now we're gonna try to vacuum it out. This is not a good situation at all. All right, I think I got it. Hey, man. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yes, that got me a little bit nervous. Is this busted? Let's take a look at this closer. Let's clean this little gear off. Oop. I think this is supposed to, this goes in here. Just like that. So this just pushes in. I'm wondering if this little seal here is bad and that's why we're leaking. What's this little bolt here? All right, I'm gonna mess with that, see if I can tighten that up without having it. I don't feel like there should be any play there, but I'm gonna clean it up, see what we can do. Clean it up a little more. I think this tiny little play is normal. Not 100% sure, but I'm going to go down to the parts store, see if we can swap out this O-ring where I think it may have been leaking. So we'll be back. Quick update. Pulled this out. This is supposed to move, but you'll see down in here, there's a little channel or groove here, and our little locking mechanism is supposed to do that, keep it in place. Went out, got a new O-ring for it, and while I was there, this is also leaking. That's because there's no speedometer cable. So I picked that up, and this looks like a much bigger project than I was ready to take on. So I have to go back in and take apart some of the dash a little bit. So I wish I did this before when I had it all ripped off, but that's just the way it goes. According to the manual, step one is to remove this, which I never put back in correctly. And it says to take out the speaker. A couple screws up here, and maybe we can get at where the speedometer cable is supposed to go. I hope so. And then somehow it gets wired in way down in there underneath the brake booster. So this will be a fun project. Yeah, I remember taking these out back in the day. The speedometer cable, I'm kind of nervous that this doesn't have a cable and it's all electric. But looks like we got to pull instrument cluster away. I don't feel like doing that today, so I'm going to take a break. Be back tomorrow. Okay, the manual definitely says it's mechanical. And this is like the worst drawing ever. I don't know. That looks like where the brake booster is, but I'll figure it out.
How? How did I get myself into this?
Status updates a few days later, and we got a lot to think about. So, if you've been following along, you know that this car was an engine swap. I didn't do it, and this is a 350 TH transmission, and this is a mechanical speedometer. The 86 Trans Am is not. That is electrical. So what has to happen is I bought a an adapter here, which will go in and will send out a signal. And that signal goes to this buffer box. And then they hook into this yellow and purple wire here. And then this over here, this kicks back out to the cluster, dash cluster that is no longer there right at the moment. But here's the problem. This ECU is not hooked up at all, and I have a lot of wires that have been hacked. So what I have to try to figure out is, does this go back in, which I believe it does, and go all the way up through the engine bay. I'm going to test for continuity right here just to make sure that these two wires that go into the buffer box are indeed these two here. So let me check that really quick. Okay, so we got this removed, which is hooked up to that. These two wires hook up to this connector, which runs into this nest of wires. So I'm just going to check continuity with this purple down here in the buffer box and the purple up here, and hopefully we hear something. Yes, good. Yellow. Get in there. To the yellow. All right, that's good news. So, good news and bad news. So, good news is these wires do run through the engine bay. Bad news is now I got to try to find those two wires somewhere, hopefully. Well, would you look at this? Followed this up, and I cracked open this harness, gave a little tug, and I found a yellow and a purple. So now I'm just going to test for continuity and see if these are the actual ones. I'm very hopeful. Okay. Moment of truth. I think it's connected to that yellow. Let's see here. Do we hear the buzz? You hear it? I hear it. Good sign. Let's check the purple. Into the purple. Purple. Yeah, we found our wires. Okay, now that we know the wiring is intact, we're going to see if this whole setup fits. I am really nervous that this whole mechanism here is not going to have enough clearance. So let's try that. It's in. I'm going to just do a little adjusting. Swing that so it's down. And we're going to give this a shot. I'm going to run some of this plastic sheathing on this wiring, kind of protect it a little bit. And here she is. Good. Lots of wire. We're going to just run it right back through to the other side here. Awesome. Moment of truth. Come on, baby. Just move for me. We got nothing. I am not sure if it is the buffer box or my sensor. So I have wired the sensor all the way inside of the car. I got it hooked up to the voltmeter. This sensor should produce a small amount of current. So let's go test it out and see what happens. There we go. It's not spinning. Nothing right now. Well, I pulled this back out. I think I found the problem. This doesn't spin. So I am going to adjust here. I think I might have this wrong a little bit. Play with that. Okay, we loosened this up a little bit and it seemed to have helped. So let's give this a shot. See if I can get this back in there. See if we can get the speedometer working. I think I found my thumping problem. You can see this. I don't think that is normal. That should not be happening. That is loose all the way into here. That's not even the ute. That's definitely it. That should not be like that. At least I don't believe so. Still not working. It is spinning, so now I'm gonna see if this thing is actually creating a pulse. We're gonna hook it up to this, spin it, and then see what happens on the other side. I'm gonna go record from there. Did you get anything? Okay. Well, I guess that's good and bad. We know this works. But now, some reason I'm guessing maybe this isn't engaging or spinning. I'm gonna see if I can peek up in there. All right, well, that's gonna bring us to the end of this episode because the reason why the speedometer is not working, the internal gear of the transmission is not in there. It's floating around somewhere in there.
And some of you were probably yelling at the screen when I was shaking on that U-joint, and you probably recognized that my drive shaft looked to be a little bit too short. And 100%, I think that is where the thumping and vibrations are coming from. So that's where we go from here. We tackle that, but at least we figured out that the speedometer pulse works. Figured out the buffer box, so I'm feeling good. Just got a little bit longer to go. If you've made it this far, like and subscribe, and I will keep on posting. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.